And today marks the one-year anniversary for President Biden since he took office. On the eve of his first anniversary, Mr. Biden held a nearly 2-hour-long press conference yesterday, and he broke down his first year in charge by celebrating his successes and acknowledging the challenges he's faced. Laura Podesta has been following this story for us. Laura, good morning. 2 hours. He took a lot of questions.
He sure did. Good morning, Anne-Marie. And regarding those challenges or failures over the last year, the social spending bill and the voting rights bill that did not progress in the Senate, as you mentioned just last night, Biden really placed a lot of blame on Republicans for blocking those pieces of legislation. And when asked about his dwindling poll numbers, he said he doesn't believe the polls.
We must end this uncivil war.
It's been 1 year since Joe Biden was inaugurated as president of the United States.
Hello, folks.
Mr. Biden marked the occasion yesterday with a 2-hour press conference where he touted some of his successes.
We created 6 million new jobs, more jobs in 1 year than any time before. Unemployment dropped, the unemployment rate dropped to 3.9%. Child poverty dropped by nearly 40%, the biggest drop ever in American history.
But with an approval rating that has fallen 17 points since taking office, the president promised to keep working on his agenda.
Yes, I'm confident we can get pieces, big chunks of the Build Back Better law signed into law.
The president vowed to continue fighting the coronavirus pandemic.
Some people may call what's happening now the new normal. I call it a job not yet finished. It will get better.
He blamed Republicans for obstructing progress.
I did not anticipate that there'd be such a stalwart effort to make sure that the most important thing was that President Biden didn't get anything done. Think about this. What are Republicans for?
He also told reporters he plans on getting out of the White House more ahead of the midterm elections.
I'm going to go out and talk to the public.
On the international front, President Biden said Russia would pay a dear price if President Vladimir Putin invades Ukraine.
One possible punishment is hurting Russia economically. According to Mr. Biden, he plans on cutting Russia off from the global banking system. Anne-Marie.
That would be sort of a major consequence, I would think, though it's not like they haven't imposed sanctions on Russia before. And he sort of acknowledged that there is an expectation that Russia will move forward in some way, maybe a minor way, and that's when NATO will have to really discuss the types of consequences that Russia will face.
Yes, and also with the possibility that Russia will invade, we're hearing how the U.S. is bolstering Ukraine's military forces. They're giving the country an additional $200 million in military aid. Though, Anne-Marie, I want to mention there is still hope for a peaceful end to this. We know that Secretary of State Blinken is meeting with his Russian counterpart tomorrow to discuss possible peaceful solutions. But thus far, it has not looked good. There were talks last week between U.S., NATO, and Russian officials, and that failed to bridge any disagreements over how to resolve the standoff along the Ukraine-Russia border.
So one of the news stories leading up to his sort of one-year anniversary has been, how he's doing in the polls. You mentioned in your story that he doesn't believe the polls, but what the polls indicate is a 44% approval rating. What's the reception been like to his press conference? And, what's the likelihood of his approval ratings having an impact on his agenda heading into year two?
Well, Biden sort of sounded like his predecessor, President Trump, when he was asked about those dwindling approval ratings. He didn't use the term fake news, but as you mentioned, he said he does not believe the polls. And when asked if perhaps he should scale back his social spending agenda, which has faced a lot of pushback and criticism from Republicans who notoriously don't like big government spending, well, Biden said that most Americans agree with Democrats and with him that the price of health care and prescription drugs and all that is too high, and that they don't like the cost of higher education and early education and child care. So it does not sound like, Anne-Marie, like he's planning on backing down when it comes to pushing for more social spending and the Build Back Better plan, even as the midterm elections approach.
It does not sound like it. Laura, thank you very much.
Thanks.